The absolute monstrosity of them getting away with naming it Titanic II because that's the name of the boat that they put in the. It's not the name. It's not like a sequel. It's not like they're trying to convince you this is a sequel to the James Cameron Titanic. Of course, of course.
Titanic 2.
Exactly 100 years after the launching of the Titanic in 1912, they decide to launch another one in 2012, and it gets hit by an iceberg being carried by a giant tsunami. Does it now? Okay. I'm not a big fan of Titanic or anything as a film, but there's nothing that can make you appreciate it more than watching Dick Van Dyke's grandson trying to romance someone like Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh my god. Titanic 2 stars a bunch of people you've never heard of, haven't heard of Shane Van Dyke outside of this either, as the people on the new Titanic 2 ship and the people in the Coast Guard who are for some reason also called in to try and deal with the situation going on. They're called into like a polar ice cap place, and they stand there as the polar ice cap melts around them. And then goes off and causes a giant tsunami, and also the big chunk of ice gets carried off with the tsunami. How? Nope. So basically this guy who is white, blonde, super straight, he's very handsome, and he owns the ship, or designed the ship, or something, and he's in charge pretty much, but also not. He tries to, like, he's that bad rich guy who's like trying to be like, no, make the ship go faster, she can take it, and then the engines break. So he doomed them all. But he's also the romantic lead, so we're meant to like him. And he's the romantic lead to this lady who's his ex-girlfriend, but also is one of the, like, nurses on the ship, one of just the medical staff. And she's also white and blonde and very pretty, and yeah. I feel like the Asylum movies, the Asylum is the company that makes all these, like, mockbuster movies, and I feel like their movies are where, like, Aryan actors' careers go to die. The Asylum has just made so many of these at this stage that... And I feel like I do expect the general quality of them to be a little higher than the other kind of renegade B-movies out there that are being made over a weekend with a bunch of friends. The general, like, video, audio quality, basic things are relatively, bearable. You can look at it without going, ugh. But normally their worst crime is that they're boring. Because B-movies in general, the ideas behind them, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of ideas behind them. And while 90 minutes would be a short runtime for a film, it's a really long runtime for a B-movie. But The Asylum tries to hit that kind of region a lot. Like they do here. I mean, there's 40 minutes before the kind of big shit hits the fan moment happens. But even then, like, the iceberg and tsunami hit this ship. A giant tsunami, a giant iceberg hit this ship, and it's fine. Like, it starts to sink, but, like, real slow, and everyone gets off into the lifeboats, and everything would be fine, except for the fact that there's another tsunami coming to kill all the lifeboats, because why not? And B, the main characters decide that they're going to go to the bottom of the ship while it's half sunk to get this girl's friend. And then they get down there, her friend dies, and then they're just stuck down there. And then they decide when the ship is about to finish sinking to try and get back up, using the elevator. And they literally just get stuck in there and then have to try and make it to like a dive thing instead of just going up. And then her dad tries to come rescue her. Coast Guard dad has the ability to like commandeer all this stuff to like come and try and rescue her from the bottom of the ocean. It is pretty monstrous. I mean, it's not one of the very worst films I've ever seen, but it is awful in all the worst, trashiest ways. It is insane how people actually worked on this. Like, took a lot of time in their lives, well, maybe some time in their lives to work on it. It's nuts. I mean, I hate the characters. The writing is just so... And that's the thing about the Asylum movies generally. They have good enough video quality, audio quality, all of this stuff. Sometimes they even have recognizably named actors in it, not so much this one. But it's always the writing quality is just that atrocious. And you think, they have enough money to... They could hire writers and just make films that don't require quite as much like CGI, which is awful. It's actually, the green screen is worse than this. Like, there are so many moments of green screen that look really awful. Worse than the CGI. The CGI looks bad as well. I mean, the tsunami looks like it's a skyscraper high, and it really doesn't do that much damage to the boat that we ever see. Apparently it's sinking, but that... anyway. There is an actual conversation right near the end where they're in the dive tank, and she goes, "I'll give you my wetsuit," and he goes, "No use, I'll run out of oxygen anyway." And she goes, "Well, we can also share this air tank," and he goes, "No use, I'll freeze to death anyway." But it's not a comedy, it's deadly serious. Oh, I'm giving a Titanic waste of time 1 star. I wouldn't say almost any Asylum film is like one of the worst films I've ever seen. They're just all filling out that level of like, where it's almost so bad it's good, but also usually not so much, because they don't understand the concept of like trying to be goofy, even though they are goofy all the time.